Welcome back, guys. It's me, Ken. Today we are. I've just woken up and I saw on my phone that Starship was launching, and I was like, shit, 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 shit. I haven't prepared anything. I literally just got up and fucking hell, it's launching. I did not know that. It was supposed to launch on Sunday. So, yeah, this is me coming from you live now, with a video image in a minute of me panicking my ass off. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Starship is my hobby, but I generally thought it was gonna launch on Sunday. So, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I definitely did not think this through. Um, I'm slightly half asleep, but I managed to wake up for this stream.
Other planets.
Yeah, he's just talking about blah blah blah, planetarium, planets, species, planet. I don't know what's going on with planets. But Starship, if you do not want to know what Starship is, it is a rocket that is supposed to propel humans to Mars and beyond. But there are a few issues with that, like it has now been delayed until 2036. This is not been actually all the way yet. That is now live. We are now 20 minutes live. That should be... Okay, now it's fully live. That's Elon Musk. I have got that shirt. Don't ask. Yeah. I didn't think it'd be this quick, to be honest. They did say they were loading a few days ago, but they weren't saying on the system it was loading like this. Yeah. The girl I'm talking to, she's gone to sleep. She's supposed to frighten me, but she's decided to sleep. And then everyone else, I got rid of Instagram, but Instagram was my main hookup for Starship, so that's why I missed everything. Oops. Well, that might be a problem later. As you see, it's loading repellent. Please be aware that this has the capacity of ripping your lungs apart in 3.2 seconds. Let's hear it up.
All right, that was sweet. Let's turn our attention back to the rocket. So just checking in, we are about 19 minutes and change away from liftoff. As I said right at the top, weather is going to be our primary concern. We were tracking some anvil clouds. We're hopefully clearing that on the range soon. We are not currently tracking any hardware blockers to launch, but we'll continue to follow along. If anyone was following along yesterday, we actually didn't even get into our webcast as we had a leak on one of the hoses feeding into feeding the liquid oxygen into the ship through its quick disconnect. We were able to replace that this morning. Team did an incredible job, got us into an attempt today. All right, joining me now for the rest of the day is Amanda Lee. Hi, Amanda.
Co-host.
Thanks, Dan. I'm super excited to be here. Let's just get right into it.
Yeah, a whole bunch has happened to get us to today's flight, our 10th flight test. Let's look back at Starship's 9th flight test in May that did end with a rapid unscheduled disassembly on the ship and the booster.
Flight 9 marked the first reflight of a Super Heavy booster. We saw a successful stage separation and the first ever deterministic flip, which gives us extra performance. The reused booster was flown at a much higher angle of attack to push the envelope on capabilities, which ended up causing some internal structural failure, eventually leading to a rapid unscheduled disassembly at landing burn.
Yeah, ship continued its ascent. We did see pressure drop in its main fuel tank and rise in the nose cone. We just had a camera view. We actually caught the failure on camera in the fuel pressurization system. Ship was able to complete its ascent, though, achieved its planned velocity and second stage engine cutoff.
After that, though, we did run into some issues with attitude control, which led us to skipping the payload deploy and Raptor relay demos. Starship eventually re-entered the atmosphere in an off-nominal attitude, and communication was lost approximately 46 minutes into the flight test during entry, but of course not before one heck of a light show.
Yeah. That booster rud was caused by higher than predicted forces on its structure, specifically that internal fuel transfer tube, as we were doing a higher angle of attack experiment. To fix that for remaining flights with this version of the booster, including the one behind us, we're just going to lower that angle of attack. We're relaxing those forces, and that minimizes the likelihood of structural failure.
And over on the ship side, we redesigned the part of the fuel pressurization system that failed on Flight 9,
It
put
looks
it through a
amazing.
more
It
rigorous
does.
test
Looks
campaign,
so
and
clean.
after subjecting it to flight-like stresses, it did successfully run for more than 10 times the expected service life with no damage, so great test results there. Our goal is always to make it through all of the objectives we set, but any result
Hopefully
that
it
teaches
opens
us more
sustained
about
doors this
Starship
time.
performing
We did
in the
that last
real-world environment
got
helps us
stuck.
to make those targeted iterations and improve quickly.
Yeah, that's how SpaceX developed our first rocket, Falcon 1. That's the same philosophy we used to develop Falcon 9, which has passed 100 flights just this year and 500 flights overall.
Yeah, incredible milestone for Falcon. And again, the way they got there was to launch, learn, and repeat.
All right,
Best way
so
of doing it.
that wasn't the only thing that happened while getting ready for Flight 10. If you followed along, Ship 36, which was originally supposed to fly on Flight 10, experienced a major anomaly during a static fire test at our Massey's test site. It was in the process of loading all of its cryogenic propellant to do a 6-engine static fire when we had a sudden energetic event that resulted in the complete loss of the Starship, and we damaged the immediate area surrounding the stand out there at Massey's.
The most likely root cause was identified as undetectable or under-screen damage to a composite overwrapped pressure vessel, or COPV, in Starship's payload bay section. To address this probable cause, we're operating the COPVs on the ship at a lower pressure and also implemented additional proofs and inspection methods.
Meanwhile, though, keep our launch schedule up, got to keep testing. The team was able to pivot and use the launch pad, the one we're on today, to do ship static fire tests. It was the first time we've ever done that. Doing that retrofit was the fastest path to get back to launch. Team was able to engineer a solution where we used a transport ring to mount the ship, routed a whole bunch of extra hoses and everything to load propellants. They knocked that out in just a matter of weeks, where we had 2 static fires on the orbital mount.
Yeah, very impressive turnaround there, getting to these static fires. These static fires gave us the data we needed to progress to launch and are a prime example of our engineer and technician teams working to build creative solutions to keep us charging forward to eventually bring Starship online.
And even while doing all of this, we're in the process of rebuilding the test stand out at Massey's to get ready for the next generation of Starship, version 3. So right now, though, we are still on track. We're looking about 14 minutes away. Again, our T0 is at 6:59 p.m. Central. While we still have a couple of moments, though, let's toss it over to Chris, who's getting ready to watch the launch out in California. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, Dan and Amanda, it's going great. And welcome everyone to the Tesla Diner here in Hollywood, California. For the first ever public showing of a SpaceX webcast, it's been great to see the webcast up here on the big screens at the diner. You know, throughout the afternoon, we've had members of the public coming up, mixing and mingling, enjoying some of the food, getting to watch some old science fiction, but also getting to watch and keep up to date with what's happening here for Starship's 10th test flight. I think I can speak for everyone here when I say we're really looking forward to the epic views that we're going to get from in space and during atmospheric reentry, all thanks to Starlink. And speaking of Starlink, that's actually how we're coming to you live from the diner, relying on one of those many reliable connections that Starlink is able to put down across the Earth and in low Earth orbit. So for a little bit more information on the immediate future of the Starlink constellation, let's head on over to Hawthorne, where my colleague Tyler Lionquist is standing by. Tyler, how's it going there? And are you ready to see a rocket launch today?
We are definitely ready for a Starship launch here in Hawthorne. Hi everyone, my name is Tyler Lionquist and I'm a Starlink business analyst here at SpaceX. Starlink is SpaceX's low Earth orbit high-speed internet that's bringing connectivity to places where you least expect it, including in space. For today's mission, Starship is outfitted with 4 Starlink terminals, allowing us to get live views of ship while in orbit and all the way down to splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Starlink satellites are built in Redmond, Washington, and that's also where we monitor the health of our entire constellation. So let's take a quick look for more on Redmond.
What a lot of people might not realize when they think about the scale that we're operating is that actually 2/3 of the operational satellites in orbit are Starlink satellites. And then all of those Starlink satellites came from right here in Redmond.
Cool.
We've currently got a constellation of over 8,000 satellites that are flying around in orbit. So they're working together to fill out the whole surface of the Earth, make sure everywhere can have service. So we have these laser links that are connected between the satellites, so each satellite can pass data from one to the other. That is what allows us to have these hundreds of gigabit links between satellites, and that's what allows us to connect every corner of the Earth to high quality, high speed, low latency internet. When you think about that Starlink that you have at home, the technology that's in there and that's in your antenna is very similar to the antenna that's on the satellite. We use what are called phased array antennas, which is a fancy way of describing an antenna that's made up of many little antennas that work together in order to direct their energy to a specific spot on the ground without a motor.
Whoa.
Generally, satellite manufacturing is a very slow process. It takes people weeks or months to build a satellite. At SpaceX, we iterate very fast, and we have learned how to build satellites at the 70 sats a week rate. As we have focused a lot on production rate, we have not forgotten about our satellite reliability, which is critical to our mission.
If you look at the whole world and you ask, where is the satellite industry? It's right here in the USA, in Redmond, where the vast majority of satellites being built are being built right here. Starlink is a truly game-changing technology, and it's all supported by the global satellite constellation from this space here in Redmond. And we're really just getting started at the very beginning of what we want to do with Starlink.
Now, as we mentioned earlier in the show, one of today's objectives is for SHIP to deploy Starlink simulator satellites that represent the advanced V3 satellites Starship will be launching in the future.
Yeah, so we're gonna
and as you can see here, once Starship reaches a nominal orbit, the payload door will slowly begin to open to prepare for deployment.
Hopefully this time.
The Starlink satellites will be dispatched relatively quickly, one at a time, very much like a Pez dispenser. They'll be situated in one long stack, taking up as little space as possible, allowing for an efficient deployment sequence. And once a set of Starlinks is deployed, the next set advances and deploys until they are all drifting away from Starship to prepare for their on-orbit life.
Yeah,
each Starlink V3 launch on Starship is planned to add 60 terabits per second of capacity to the Starlink network. That's more than 20 times the capacity added with every V2 mini launch on Falcon 9.
That's new.
So we're talking about a massive increase in performance all around, which will ultimately enable Starlink to serve as the communications backbone of the missions to the Moon and to Mars. But for now, we're going to turn it back over to the team at Starbase. Hey, Dan and Amanda.
Hey, thanks, Taylor. So, quick update for everybody. So weather is still the main thing that we're watching. We are currently red on the range, hoping to clear that anvil rule any moment now. That's really the only thing blocking us at the moment. Vehicle's good, pads ready to go. All of our checkouts have been really smooth today after that repair work that we did this morning after we had to abort out yesterday. So
I didn't know it was
we're looking at the weather. That's the thing we're really paying attention to right now.
Meanwhile, prop load is still ongoing. We started loading prop at about T-minus 53 minutes, beginning with ship fuel, ship locks, booster fuel, and finally booster locks began loading at about T-minus 35. We'll continue loading prop until just about 3 minutes before liftoff, and ship will conclude first, and then 30 seconds later, booster will finish up.
Yeah, so bottom line, we're looking great in the vehicle. We're looking really good on the range. We're just really watching that weather. So we're still waiting to hear that that's clear. That's the only thing that could potentially stop us today.
Okay, now let's talk about Mars, since everything we do is part of our foundational mission to get to the Red Planet. Each Starship launch is to learn more and more about what's needed to make life multiplanetary and to improve SHIP to the point where it's eventually taking millions of people to Mars.
That's right. We're looking ahead to begin sending the first Starships to Mars next year. These initial ones are going to go without humans. They're just going to put minimally viable landers on the surface, land right on the skirt, no legs. This will just help prove we can actually get to Mars, focus on learning just as much as humanly possible, demonstrating what's needed for Mars transit and the ultimate landing.
Then, during our next window from 2028 to 2029, we'll attempt to land the initial infrastructure and start delivering more equipment while evaluating available resources on the planet. And we'll also have Optimus on board for the ride, designed to do the initial heavy lifting.
I've got it.
Beyond that, by 2030, 2031, as these windows open up roughly every 26 months, we'll continue to increase the amount of payload we're sending on each ship as we're building out more infrastructure, mining resources, generating propellant for ships to come back from Mars. By 2033, we want to double the amount of payload per ship as we just get closer and closer to building a self-sustaining presence on the red planet.
Yeah, very exciting missions ahead, and these first missions to Mars are going to be crucial to setting up what we'll need for humans to eventually inhabit the planet, and we won't be doing this alone.
Right.
The Italian Space Agency and SpaceX recently signed a first-of-its-kind agreement to carry Italian experiments on the first Starship missions to deliver customer payloads to Mars. These payloads will include a plant growth experiment, a weather monitoring station, and a radiation sensor to gather scientific data during Starship's approximately 6-month interplanetary coast phase from Earth to Mars and also on the Martian surface.
It's a really exciting vision. To make it happen, we're going to need to launch a whole lot more. We're going to need a whole lot of people that are going to come and help us build this. So it makes it really fun for me to come to work. I know you build these things.
100%.
It's got to be fun for you.
Yep, very exciting.
All right.
Looks like we're about 5 minutes from Starship's 10th flight test. Range is still looking good, still have an eye on the, and prop load is also continuing on both stages of Starship.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up real quick. So we are we're almost closed out on the booster. We're about 90% on fuel, about 90% on LOX, just a bit below. So again, we're going to continue filling for about the next 2 minutes. Once we're completely done with that, we have about 11 million pounds of liquid propellant on board those 2 stages of Starship. So a lot of propellant to move really big rockets really fast away from South Texas. So once we get close, all of our ground systems will prepare themselves. They do what's called pushbacks. They'll clear out all of those feed lines, push back into the prop farm, and just prepare the area around it. We're doing our final guidance and navigation checks right now. The automated flight safety system is about to get armed. We're just really preparing the vehicle to get ready to go. I'm not sure if we passed it already, but we do a final thrust vector control checkout. The TVC will wiggle the engines that we use to actually steer the rocket itself.
Turn the camera off when it starts.
Everybody's favorite topic, if we need to hold. That hold would come at T-minus 40 seconds. We can hold if we're still waiting for the weather to clear, which is our big item today, or if any other last-minute issues pop up. We'll only hold there if we have an issue. Still waiting to hear confirmation that the weather has cleared. That's the only thing it looks like would hold us today. Here's the business end of a Super Heavy.
Now, once we pass that T-minus 40-second mark that Dan was talking about, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure, and ship will switch over to internal power. After that, the quick disconnect arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction, which occurs shortly after T0. And once we pass that T-minus 40-second mark, we do still have the ability to then recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds and hold there to assess what happened, and if we can proceed again back to liftoff.
Yeah, we hope that doesn't happen, but it has previously. I promise not to psych anybody this time. We do have some kind of points of no return. Once the water starts flowing out of that flame deflector under the launch mount, that happens just a little after T-minus 10 seconds. If that triggers and then we hit a hold, that would be a scrub for the day. We have to refill the water tanks, can't turn it off, got to refill prop, all that stuff. So that's kind of the major watch item. You'll see a big splash under the launch mount, and if we see that go and then you hear a hold, that would mean that we're done for the day. But not.
You should send your...
And yeah, I didn't disappear. Sorry, everybody listening in. As the flight director for today is going through some of the final checks, we are still red on the range for weather. We are closing out prop load right now, though.
Yeah, as we wait and hear what's going on, we can just quickly review some of the test objectives for today. On the booster side, we're of course hoping for all 33 of those Raptor engines to power our ascent ahead of hot staging. And once that stage separation occurs, booster will perform that directional flip before the boost back burn. One of the interesting experiments we're doing today is upon our landing burn, which typically ends with those 3 center engines lit. We're going to be intentionally shutting one of those off and instead lighting one from the middle 10 ring. And this is just to kind of give us an idea of what it would look like if we ever had an engine out scenario.
Yeah, using our time to really push the envelope.
Engines. They were testing the engine.
And so at this point, we are fully closed out on our prop load. Coming up on a minute and 20, we are still red on the range for weather. So at this rate, looking likely we will hold at T-minus 40 to see if we can clear that anvil cloud roll. That's the one blocker we currently have to a launch today.
That's the graphic I wanted to see. Just put it on screen now. I'm gonna kill the camera.
All right, and we did just get confirmation, so we are expecting to hold at T-minus 40. We are still red on the range for weather, so look for the clock to pause in just a couple seconds. And pause. So we'll hang out here for a couple of minutes. We do have until the end of the window. We won't have 30 minutes of hold time to hang out, as we can't, we're essentially not replenishing prop on the vehicle at this point, so we have to keep a close eye on things like temperatures inside the tanks. We can only hold for so many minutes before things start to warm up. Surprised it's hot in South Texas. So
yeah, while we're holding here at T-minus 40 seconds, we reviewed our test objectives for booster, but why don't we chat ship for a second? After stage separation, ship will continue onwards up through its ascent to the planned suborbital trajectory. Once it reaches there, we'll undergo SECO, or where the second stage shuts off its engines. We're hoping to deploy 8 dummy satellites today, which are modeled after Starlink V3. We're also planning to attempt a in-orbit burn, so we'll relight one of those Raptor engines while in space, and that will occur ahead of re-entry, where we'll also be testing multiple experiments, including missing tiles, metallic tiles, and intentionally loading those vehicles' flaps. And then hopefully we'll conclude today's test flight with a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, definitely want to see a ship on the other side of the planet today. We did just get a quick update. So the range is fully green. Weather is still red. So we are still tracking a detached anvil rule, which essentially there's an anvil cloud that's too close to our launch site, and it needs to move further away. Until it moves further away, we can't lift off. So we are expecting an update in a couple of seconds, potentially. Again, we can hang out here for several minutes. We're not actively replenishing.
It's about, remember,
and getting an update now.
76,000 tons or something. Then 76,000 tons, yeah. So it's quite a lot.
And we're getting a weather update right now. And team's looking at it. Again, we're just tracking this anvil rule still. It's our only blocker today. Range is green, vehicle is green. Weather is currently red. All right, and sad voice coming in. We did just hear that we are still going to be red. So at this point, we are essentially transitioning this to be a wet dress. So wet dress is when we fully load prop on board the rocket. So we are going to see the clock probably start up again, but once they get down to 10 seconds, they're going to abort out, and then we will be done for the day.
Yeah.
So sad news, not going to launch today.
No,
weather got in our way, but you can only control so much. Can't always control the weather. Can't control the weather. I wish we could control the weather. We're not there yet.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice? So we are seeing the clock rolling, but again, we're going to get down to T-minus 10 seconds, and we're going to see that kick back out, and then we're going to start offloading all of the propellant that's on board the rocket today. So
we'll probably do static
if
fire.
you are just tuning in,
no, can do that still, can't they?
yeah, it's not going. There it goes. Back to T-minus 40. So again, we essentially turned today into a wet dress. So today still ended up being a test.
Still learning something as always.
I don't think this is
still learning something. We were able to fix the issue that kind of bit us yesterday, where we had a leaky hose that was feeding liquid oxygen into the ship. But we were able to fix that, but weather got us today. So no launch today. We do have a phenomenal logistics team, though, so we should hopefully be able to replenish prop everything. We don't have to refill all the water tanks because we didn't fire off the deflector, but we'll have to reload the prop. So very good chance that we can try again tomorrow. We'll obviously update everybody
this time
online.
I'll make sure I'm up.
And yeah, man, sorry we couldn't go today. Don't worry, we'll probably go tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to see you when we do go for launch.
So obviously, follow our account on X at SpaceX. We'll share information as soon as it comes available. We'll also be updating the web at spacex.com. So thanks for joining us today. Exciting countdown. Weren't able to get off the ground, but we'll give it another shot tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Well, that's disappointing as enough as you get. I woke up for nothing. Boy. Okay. I hate when that happens. I really hate when that happens. First time I panicked and I still couldn't get the thing done. Alright guys, I'm gonna bed because I'm tired and I need to get up tomorrow morning. Hope you enjoyed the stream.